for those who are just joining us, I'll just tell you very, very quickly about the Hey Neighbour Collective, which has been around since 2019. It is a collective impact project that pulls together a whole bunch of different partners. And we are looking at ways of building community, neighborly social connections and resilience, particularly in multi-unit housing. But I would say that a lot of our key learnings can apply to any type of community out there, whether it is a low density or high density or mixed density community. But we're interested in how we manage and program existing denser housing better for kind of better health and well-being outcomes, and also, of course, how we design new, especially as many of our communities are densifying very quickly, and we are under enormous pressure to build a lot of housing and to figure out how to build more affordable housing. Because what we are doing right now and what we've been doing for the past few years is not getting us where we need to be, which is also why we've invited Robert Brown here and a bunch of other experts, because we see them as leaders and really thinking about the financial aspect of building the kind of housing that we need and that we are generally not supplying enough of. So, Madeline, do you want to just very quickly, for those who are joining new, just say a few words about Happy Cities?
Yeah, so Happy Cities is a small consulting firm. We work across Canada from coast to coast, but most of our work is in BC. And we do all kinds of work around planning design. My work focuses mainly on housing, and we've had the privilege of having some really wonderful partnerships to help advance policy for social connection and well-being across the province. So really excited to be here for session 2.
Awesome. Okay. I won't list all of our project funders and supporters by name, but we have many, and we're very grateful for their support to do this kind of work, which is very emergent and unusual. And it's nice to have funders that kind of embrace the vision and are supporting us along the way. We are here today to really to deepen our understanding of housing development finance with the folks we have assembled. To kind of keep exploring different benefits of certain design strategies for multi-unit housing in terms of their ability to support neighborly social connections and things like aging in place, mutual support. We'll be analyzing and discussing what are the real and perceived barriers to this kind of design, and really start to consider which types of design features you might want to be incentivizing or regulating in your communities. So I will say just a little bit about Hey Neighbour's work and why kind of affordable, secure tenure housing is so important when we're thinking about social connectedness and, you know, building more connected, socially cohesive communities. So back in 2020, I might have mentioned this in the first session, we put together some recommendations for our local regional growth strategy. And those 6 recommendations have held up really, really well since 2020. They're kind of like a foundation or a platform for our work. And we were really thinking about them in terms of communities that are quickly densifying, where more and more of us will live in multi-unit housing. So that can be everything from townhomes to high rises. And initially, the strong interest from planners was to talk about design for new housing. And so we really dove into that work with Happy Cities. It's gotten us to where we are today with this group. But the foundation of this work has always been a recognition that without stable, secure tenure housing in every community, so choice of housing, you know, different income bands, you don't really have a complete community. If you want a complete community, it doesn't just mean dense with walkability and lots of amenities. It also is complete in terms of who can live there and what their experience is in terms of security. So if you are being constantly bounced around from one neighborhood to another, or even one region to another, because you keep getting priced out of your community, it is very hard to put down roots. It is really, really hard to establish the kinds of supportive connections that we all need. So, you know, as planners, you know, I don't I probably don't need to really tell you this, but I just want to set the context for today's conversation, is that affordability and housing options piece is really key to what we're talking about here. So you're all probably very familiar with this kind of graphic, the housing continuum from homelessness services all the way up to home ownership. But I just threw together some stats that, again, I hope help set the context for this conversation. So, when you look at the top of that infographic, you see that non-market housing looks like it's a whole bunch of different housing types, and it is. But the reality is that less than 5% of Canadians live in non-market housing. So it's the 95% of what's being built is being built by the market, and that's private rental and home ownership. And the private rental isn't even necessarily all purpose-built rental. A lot of it's secondary. So people buying condominiums, for example, and then renting them out. 40% of Canadian households right now cannot afford today's average market rents. 40%. So that is clearly demonstrating a real gap in the market in terms of what we are building. The City of Toronto, and I know there are a few of you here, has a 14-year wait list for social housing. There are 250,000 Canadian households on wait list for non-market housing in 2023. There are 100,000 households, not people, households in BC at risk of homelessness because of rising rents. Growth in rental households between 2011 2021 doubled. Was double that of owner households because of the unaffordability of buying. And renters are twice as likely to be in unaffordable housing as owners. And people who are entering the rental market now are more likely to be in unaffordable housing than people who have been in their rental homes for a while. So not surprising. And also, a lot more of the rental housing we have out there is secondary market. So it's small landlords, mom and pop, homeowners with basement suites or other suites. And of course, this is an important part of the market, but it is less secure in terms of, people's ability to stay there for a long time or be kind of protected as renters. So another infographic, missing middle. Again, you will all be familiar with some type of this, and this is really where we're working, is everywhere from duplex, but not just the missing middle, and up into mid and high-rise apartment buildings. So that's what Hey Neighbour is particularly interested, and I would say we put more of our efforts into kind of that low-rise apartment building and up in terms of who we're partnering with and whatnot, because that's where a lot of renters are. Or people with kind of medium to lower incomes. So again, I think I said this before, but really in my mind, a complete and equitable community is one where people of all ages and incomes can access adequate, affordable housing. And having the option to stay in a community of your choice for a longer time obviously supports those kinds of connections.